We are live, post-mortem, Baylor 6, Texas Longhorns 38. Not the best night at McLane Stadium, not by a long shot. It feels like the end of something. It really does. I made the comment on Twitter about the 2017 team putting up a better fight than this, and I'm standing by it. I am sticking by it 100%. That team had some heart. They were in those games. I talked to some friends earlier. We had the same thing, week 4, conference opener that year. Number 4, Oklahoma, and future Heisman Trophy winner, Baker Mayfield, coming into town against an 0-3 Baylor team. Baylor led in the second half of that game and lost by 8. So they still lost the game. But it was not 38-6. They showed some life. They showed that they actually wanted to be there. I wish I could say the same about tonight. I wish I could. But here we are in the last game for a long time against the Texas Longhorns. 120 years of history. And that's what you put out on the field. To be fair, that's like how most of this rivalry went, if you're considering the whole 120 years. But for those of us who've been following Baylor the last 10 or 15 years, some of us less, that's not how it's gone. That's not how it's gone. And I want to tell you that I was proud of the effort that Baylor put out tonight. But again, for the 4th time in 4 games, I can't really say that. For the exception of, I guess, 3 quarters against Utah. They really looked like they wanted to be out there to win the game. I can't say it for this game. I can't. And my pal, my confidant, my colleague, Drake Toll, once again, for the second time in 3 weeks, tells me, they're going to lose this game, but it's going to be close. They're going to be chanting BU at the end of the game because we're so proud. Sorry, Drake. I don't think you were doing it either. That stunk. And I know you all think that without me even reading the numbers, but I got to get into the numbers here. Sawyer Robertson, better passing day than he did against Long Island. He was 10 of 22 in that game, 20 of 35 tonight, 203 yards, and an interception in the end zone. Not his best night. Not the best passing night for Baylor I've ever seen. In fact, it's probably one of the worst considering what you've gone through the first 3 games. And then I said this week, if Baylor can establish the run game, get the ball early, establish the run game, that's what's going to put them in good shape. Let me just read off some of the numbers for you. First off, Sawyer Robertson, 10 rushes, negative 14 yards. So he was a statue back there. My Patriots fans, that was Drew Bledsoe, just standing in concrete back there when the rush was coming. A good rush that you knew was coming from UT. Now let's go through some of the other numbers. Richard Reese, the man last year, 3 carries, 8 yards. Dominic Richardson, playing compromised. I get that. I don't want to put too much heat on him, but 6 attempts for 4 yards. Your leading rusher was RJ Martinez, who came into the game in the 4th quarter and rushed it 3 times for 22. Dawson Pendergrass, 6 for 21. How do you expect to beat anybody? How do you expect to beat anybody doing that? Oh, it gets worse than that. It gets worse than that because Quinn Ewers, had a good day. Nothing that jumps off the page for you. 18 of 23 is pretty darn good, but 293 with a touchdown, no picks. 10-2, get it in the driveway, right? Well, he averages 7 more yards of completion than Baylor does. The average rush for Texas goes for over 4 more yards than the average rush for Baylor does. And how about this? We talked about it this week. Texas not being a good offensive team on 1st and 2nd down, which surprised me. And tonight, their 3rd down percentage, 3 of 9. 3 of 9 on 3rd down. They have 5 more first downs than you in the game, 32 more points than you in the game, and they were 3 of 9 on 3rd down. That is pathetic. That is so pathetic. The Baylor radio team's player of the game was the long snapper. if that tells you anything. And not for nothing, because I pushed for it both times. I'll have to eat this. I'll take the superstition in this. The last 2 blackouts we've done, fan-driven blackouts, which have looked good. Tonight wasn't as good as last year. Baylor has, in those 2 games, managed a grand total of 0 touchdowns. 3 points against Kansas State last year, 6 points against Texas this year. I don't know what to say. I know you guys are frustrated too. I know it's the number 3 team in the country. I get that. But again, I compared that 2017 game against Oklahoma. There's just no heart in this team. There's none. They don't look like they want to be out there. They don't look like they want to play for their coach. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do, but I don't think I am right now. Let's dip into the comments a little bit on this just awful, awful Baylor game. Yeah, staff needs to go. I see you there. It's about that time. I don't know that Baylor's going to get rid of their head coach in the middle of the season, but we were talking names. Me and some people in the know, talking some names for next year's coaching search. The other thing too is I don't know who your interim is. Bring in Mike Singletary. He wants guys who want to win. He said that plenty of times. I don't know if he has that right now. And I talked about it on the show this week too, is that you brought enough guys back last year that you're like, okay, these are the guys who are leading this team. They were on the Sugar Bowl, on the Big 12 championship team, and they're going to be the ones to answer to in this locker room. Not the case this year. Matt Jones is there. Bryson Jackson is there. And that's really about it. You have guys on this team, leaders on this team, who aren't accustomed to winning. And that's just not the standard you can have as Baylor right now. And it's too bad. You might hear my voice here real quick. Let's see what some of the comments are. Get rid of the entire coaching staff. Went through that one. Yeah. Scotty B, I was a few rows ahead of you. I hope so. I was in the 200s tonight. I was with my dad and my girlfriend. Should have come by and say hi, Scotty B. Would have loved to seen that. Red zone offense. Yeah, that stunk, man. Again, it did. And that first muff punt in the first half, I turned to my confidants next to me and I said, all right, field goal. Field goal, baby. That's exactly what happened. This red zone offense, it was horrible last year. It's even worse this year. And I get it. You don't have your starting quarterback. That said, this is the 3rd week starting for Sawyer Robertson. If you can't put something together for him, because you haven't, the offensive output has looked worse each week, even though they put up 30 last week against Long Island, barely an FCS team. It's looked worse. And you just haven't gotten anything for him. He has got no kind of rhythm. You have found nothing that works with the offensive line, with the quarterback, with the receivers, with the running backs. The rushing game, the passing game, nothing has worked in 3 weeks. And it's both sides of the ball because the defense stunk tonight too. UT is 3 of 9 on 3rd down. They scored 38 points. That is a damning stat. That is a damning stat because what that means, they didn't go to 3rd down. You didn't force them to 3rd down. My man Derek needs to be saying it's 3rd down more. And you didn't get that tonight. Just didn't. Anyone better than Robertson? Well, maybe. Yeah, I was in section 219 too. That's awesome, Scotty. You should come by and say hi. Next time, come by and say hi. Interchanging the running backs. Yeah, you hate that they interchange running backs. I hate that they both stink. And that's probably a little too harsh on them. The line has regressed from what it was last week. I said trepidly that they improved against Long Island, but take that with a grain of salt because they played Long Island. Saw it this week. Yeah, and if you're down the whole game too, by the way, which, I mean, Baylor's led for like 5 minutes of their 3 games against FBS opponents. It's more than that, but they haven't led very much. It's tough to run the ball. It's tough to get that wide zone going. Yeah, the ankle injury, I'm wondering if it's more than what we've heard, Scotty. I wonder if it's more than what we've heard for Sawyer Robertson. Got that ankle injury late in the game against Utah. That was the excuse for the conservative play calling with a lead that ultimately cost them the game. I was surprised you didn't see RJ Martinez earlier in the game. You brought him in for a spark last week against an FCS team, and you let it get to at least 31-6. before you bring them in the game, probably even 38-6. I think UT just got it into the garage the last quarter and a half of the game. So yeah, that was weird. Honestly. Yeah, so this comment is, even if we lose the rest of the games, I wouldn't mind as much if we played scrappy and made teams respect us. I would too. I would too. Because ultimately, when we looked back at 2017, that was bound to happen. You only had 60 something scholarship guys coming off the scandal, and most of those were one score games, maybe two score games. They lost it at the end. That's not the case right now, though. I don't know how you could sit in the stands tonight or watch on TV, where apparently the broadcast crew is just absolutely making fun of Baylor's program, which they probably should have. I don't know how you can sit there and watch that and think that was a top tier effort of guys laying it all out there on the line. I wish I was wrong. I want to see that. Thoughts on moving on from Grimes? Good question. It has not worked. It has not worked the last couple of weeks. It didn't work towards the end of last year. In terms of moving on from Grimes, you got to see what the offense looks like with the starting quarterback in there, and I'll keep that leash loose there. But tonight, that offensive game plan looked like it could fit on a postage stamp. I mean, there was just no creativity out there. Nothing that was keeping that UT defense on their toes. I looked at my dad every play. I said, they're in a rushing formation. They're not going to pass the ball. That's something that is so easy to do to keep the defense on their toes, passing out of a running formation, running out of a passing formation. They don't really do either. They don't do either. And they're shotgun every play because Sawyer Robertson has to be, but they're not really keeping you on their toes in terms of their formation. QB targets for this recruiting cycle. I don't know if they do. They have one coming in 2026, 25. He's a junior now. So no, the immediate future doesn't look great. You lost out on, of course, Novosad last year. You lost out on Walker White, the 4-star from Arkansas, Little Rock Christian, who is now going to Auburn. He's in this year's class. Missed out on him because you put a lot of your eggs in that Novosad basket, and this is where you're paying for it. People said I was crazy. I was being too harsh when I said this quarterback room, you're hitting the panic button when you lost Novosad last year. I don't think they're thinking I'm too harsh now. Just saying. Yeah, I mean, maybe Novosad did make the right move. He'd be playing now, and we'd have a little bright spot to look at as Baylor fans. All right, Scotty B, who I trust on this, says Baylor has a commit at 2024. Thank you, Scotty B. 2025 is the California kid. Yep. So there's something coming down the pike. I think, you have to get past the 11th hour with these recruits now. And with Baylor, they have just overall, whether they have quarterbacks in this class or not, they have not capitalized on that momentum from bringing in the 2021 season of the Big 12 championship and the Sugar Bowl. We talked about that this week. They just have not capitalized on it at all. And somehow this is not a destination still. And TCU was able to turn around in 1 year. 1 year. And now they're riding that momentum that you should be riding. And that's just one example. I think what's the good news for Baylor, if it is a new coaching staff in here next year, is clearly we have been able to see that Colorado game aside today, you can bring in a new team in basically free agency and start to compete right away. You saw it with Texas State. They slammed us in the mouth week 1. Colorado's still going to be a bowl team this year. You can do that and turn it around instantly. And so for coaches, that might mean a shorter leash in terms of you're not getting even the patience you're getting these days, which isn't much compared to 10, 15 years ago. But for athletic directors too, and for fans too, on the positive side, you can expect winning right away if you utilize the portal. And I just can't believe Baylor's not a landing spot for these top talent recruits who are going to these 4 or 5 stars who are going to the SEC, they're going to USC, they're going to Michigan, they're going to Ohio State, Texas guys, a lot of them. I just can't believe Baylor's not a safe landing spot where after a year they say, I have a role here and I'm going to come in, I'm going to play. These guys put people in the NFL every year. They put players in the NFL. They can win the conference championship. They can go to the New Year's Six Bowls. There are so many opportunities for these guys. And Dave Miranda mentioned it before the season, didn't play the portal well, thought he had done it better this year. We have yet to see it. We have yet to see it. Yet to see it. Yeah, not adjusting when the running fails. Yeah, I think that's a product of what your passing game is right now. I guess I would say it's tough to criticize Grimes for that, but I mean Grimes is what falls on offensively in the end of the day, right? I thought we would see it against Utah. I said it before Utah, which was 2 weeks ago now, 3 games ago, I think they're going to have a game plan for this guy. I think they're going to have a game plan for Sawyer Robertson to thrive in. Didn't have it then. Clearly do not have it now. Blake Shapen was apparently dressed today. I was not in the press box tonight, so I didn't see, but you can't get him back soon enough. Can't get him back soon enough. A very tough road game next weekend, by the way. Yes, UCF did struggle today, so that's something. Winning helps recruiting and the portal. NIL seals recruiting in the portal. I think there's a lot of truth to that. That said, there's no reason after a bad season this year, which I think we're looking at 3-9 at best right now. If you're just taking my temperature right after this Texas game, that's what I'm bringing to you, raw and unbridled, like the Bachelorette. I'm bringing you that raw reaction. That's what it feels like. Then again, you should still be a player in the portal because of the program that Baylor is. And yeah, if you have a new coaching staff next year, that probably changes things, maybe for worse, maybe for better. But yeah, we're starting to throw around names here. Jeff Traylor, GJ Kinney, Dan Mullen, Urban Meyer, Bill Belichick. He's on the hot seat. Matt Campbell, bring his name up again. And the thing that sucks the most about this is there are wins there in the Big 12. There are wins there. Unfortunately, you don't have Oklahoma State on the schedule, but you got Iowa State, you got Cincinnati, and you've got, who's the other one that sucks? Houston. And Texas Tech. That should be a winnable game. If you were an average team, that's a winnable game. And the hope for Baylor fans is that when number 12 gets suited back up in there, you're an average team. And maybe those turn into some wins. It's not a bowl team. Not a bowl team. But doesn't have to be last in the Big 12. Doesn't have to be. Garrett Riley from a commenter. Good shout. Good shout. Those offensive guys, they're hot right now. Garrett Riley moves from the TCU OC job to the Clemson OC job. Clemson offense looked a little bit better today. I was a little surprised at that because I felt that was a lateral move because I think a good OC at TCU can get a head coaching job. And now maybe he was playing chess and everyone else is playing checkers because a good Clemson OC job definitely gets a head coaching job. But so much work needs to be done, y'all. My laptop's about to die, so I'm going to need to wrap this up here real quick. We're going to have a show on Monday. It's going to be a little bit more composed, but I don't know if it's going to be all that much different. We're going to break down what went on in this game, what we need to look at UCF later in the week. But this is bad. You have very much bad right now, and I know it was the number 3 team in the country. But if you had shown just a little bit of life from the jump, I would be talking about this differently, but you didn't. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in for the live and for putting in the comments there. We might have coach talk pretty soon here on Locked On Baylor. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen every day, even on a game day, even on a postmortem, even after the death march that you just watched at McLane Stadium. Thank you for tuning in here. We'll be back on Monday. This has been, always will be, Locked On